It felt like the morning in Kumasi. So I heard birds first thing, and then the voices were very faint in the background, but everything picked up and got noisier as it went on.
I heard the sound of the birds. I had people talking. I also, I'm not too sure, but I felt like I was hearing the waves of the sea.
I heard the sound of a waterfall and then mumbling of humans in a distance. And then also there were birds chirping. I think different kinds of birds because the sounds were different. And then a periodic breaking of is it a twig, like a wood branch, like somebody steps on there. And then also there was a mechanical sound in the background that is made by a wooden machine or a tool, and it was producing a sequential sound. And also there was I don't know how to call it. It's not periodic, but suddenly there was an upbeat of bass-like sound.
In the beginning, I heard birds chirping, and I heard a very loud humming sound, mumbling sound. I also heard branches and weeds, trees. I also heard trees.
I could hear a community of birds chirping, like different birds, but I also think I could hear crickets, like the rubbing of crickets. There was like wood, the clacking of wood, I think of weaving. I could hear, it was faint to us, but I think that people were actually yelling, but they sounded really, really far away. I could hear, as it was sort of like building, it starts to build, but then the conversations start to feel like they're getting a little bit closer to you. It sort of, and the conversations at one point sounded like almost where you'd hear like a lorry station or something like that. But yeah, the birds, I think, were birds, very loud.
But then I heard there was a faint sound of people talking. It's like from a distance. And as I was listening, it continued to get louder. And the mumbling sound was very loud. And I heard a clicking sound. It's like people were weaving something, specifically kente. And it proceeded to get louder.
I heard birds. I think I at least 3 different kinds of birds. But I think the one that stood out to me seemed to be chirping in a particular rhythm, like in a staggered rhythm. I heard people talking in the background. Initially, it was background noise of people talking, but slowly it became louder, and they were speaking Twi. I heard Twi. I also heard a clacking sound, like thin wood hitting against each other. And then I also heard thumping sound. There was also the sound of movement. You can tell by the way the sound got higher at a certain point, as if like it had moved from the left to the right and from the right to the left. So there was a sound of movement. Initially the birds, because they're very loud. But at some point I was trying to see if I could hear what the people were saying. Because it was lower, I was trying to focus on the sounds of the people talking and trying to fish out the language and even their words.
I chose to focus on the birds chirping and then the weaving sound.
Initially, I was focusing on the birds, but I think after a while I started focusing on the people, like the conversations, especially as they started to get slightly closer. So I think, I was focusing on the people.
At first, I chose to focus on the waterfall, and then changed my mind to focus on the mumbling in the background because I wanted to know what was happening in the background, the human mumbling in there.
The sound of the sea, the waves.
For me, I chose to focus on the birds because I like them.
I think I would take the birds away because after a point it became not monotonous, but it started to get a little bit overwhelming, and I think because of the birds were the most prevalent, I was trying to focus in on what else was happening, and that was sort of distracting me. So yeah, I think I would have removed the birds. Yeah.
Artistically, I would like to write a poem out of this because of the description I'll be able to get. It had a lot of components. So that's why I'm picking the poem. But for music, I feel like I'll be limited to some kind of rhythm and then just some few words to say with it.
I will take out the mumbling sound because it was distorting the whole audio I listened to. And I would also reduce the sound of voices of people talking.
I would take the natural rhythm and just add a beat to it, because after a while everything started to have a rhythm anyway. There was even a deep boom in the back.
I think I would like to take the birds that were chirping in the beginning, isolate it, and harmonize it. I think it would be really interesting to see what birds would sound like if they were doing the same sound but in different chords.
That's beautiful. So serene.